All right, let's jump right in. We're going to travel back in time to unpack an 18th century idea that is so powerful it literally built the modern world and helps explain the very device you're watching this on right now. And it all starts with something tiny, a single pin.
Here it is. This is the core idea. The secret to getting more done, to creating wealth, isn't just about working harder. Nope, it's about working smarter, by dividing up our work. It's a simple concept, right? The division of labor. But wow, did it change absolutely everything.
So to really get how big of a deal this is, we're going to zoom in on what the source material calls a trifling manufacture. Sounds kind of boring, right? A trifling thing? Well, we're going inside a pin factory. And trust me, what happens in there is nothing short of economic magic.
Okay, let's try a little thought experiment. Picture one person, all by themselves. They've got the metal, they've got the tools, but they have to do every single step of making a pin from start to finish. How many finished pins do you think they could crank out in a whole day? Just take a guess.
Get ready for this. The answer is maybe 1. The text says a worker could, scarce, perhaps, make 1 pin in a day and certainly could not make 20. 1 pin. That seems crazy low, but it's because making a pin is way more complicated than you'd ever imagine. You see, making a single pin involves about 18 separate steps. First, you have to draw out the wire. Then you got to straighten it. Then cut it to length. Then you have to sharpen one end to a point, then grind the other end so you can put a head on it, and we're not even halfway through the list. It's a huge amount of work for such a tiny object.
Okay, so that's one person trying to do it all. Now, let's walk into a different workshop. This one has 10 people. But here's the game changer. Nobody does all 18 steps. Instead, the work is divided. Each person just focuses on 1 or 2 parts of the process all day long.
And this is where your jaw hits the floor. By splitting up the work, those 10 people could make over 48,000 pins in one day. That's an average of 4,800 pins per person. Think about that. We went from maybe 1 pin per person to almost 5,000. That's not just an improvement. That's a revolution.
So what is going on here? How is that even possible? It feels like magic, but it's not. The source material breaks down this incredible jump in productivity into 3 main reasons. Let's look at them.
Okay, here's the secret sauce. First, dexterity. Practice makes perfect. When you do just one thing over and over, you get ridiculously good and fast at it. Second, you save a ton of time. You're not constantly putting down one tool and picking up another. You just stay in the zone. And third, and this one might be the most important, it sparks invention. And there's this fantastic little story in the text that shows exactly what this means. In the early steam engines, a young boy's whole job was just to open and close a valve over and over. Well, he wanted more time to play with his friends, so he figured out a hack. He tied a string from the valve to another moving part of the engine, so the machine basically did his job for him. By focusing on that one simple task, he literally saw a way to invent an improvement. That's specialization in action.
All right, so we've been focused on this tiny little pin factory, but now it's time to zoom out, way out. Because this principle doesn't just work for pins, it applies to everything, creating this massive, invisible web of cooperation that completely reshapes society.
And this is the ultimate payoff. The source calls it universal opulence. What a phrase, right? It doesn't just mean a few factory owners get rich. It means the explosion of production is so huge that there's a general plenty that spreads through all levels of society. The standard of living goes up for everyone, even the poorest person.
You want to see this rim in action? Just think about a simple wool coat a worker might have worn back then. Seems pretty basic. But to make it, you need the shepherd to raise the sheep, the sorter to sort the wool, the dyer, the weaver, but wait, it goes deeper. You need the merchant and the carrier to move it all around. You need the shipbuilder and the sailor to import the dyes. You even need the miner digging up metal to make the weaver's tools. It's this incredible, hidden network of specialists.
And that brings us right back here, to today. Forget the pin and the coat for a second. Just look at the device in your hands or on your desk right now. Think about the thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people involved. The miners who dug up the minerals, the engineers who designed the chips, the workers who assembled the parts, the programmers who coded the software, the truckers who delivered it. All these people from all over the world who have never met, all cooperated to bring you this very moment. It's the pin factory, scaled up for the entire planet. Pretty amazing when you think about it.